nice rider, you know, just inform everybody. Well, no.
Yeah, and my other granddaughter's making her first Holy Communion next month, so
Doing a good job.
What years from now that we say
That's pretty true. That was our absolute.
To get started, we want to welcome County Executive Tedesco, taking time out of his schedule to come and meet with us and share some plans and agenda. So welcome, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Good, what?
But just, we actually wanted this to be more of a conversation.
Sure.
And give us some, information on what your plans are for the county now that you've been newly elected. How can we assist?
Okay.
And I'm sure that,
So I was reelected. But let me, I had my State of the County address 2 weeks ago, and there I went over some visionary things and some things that we're looking at over the next few years in regards to things happening within the county. So if you want, I can take a few minutes to go over those things. So the first one that seems to have gotten a lot of support. Even Senator Weinberg texted me, and which made me feel good. I'm looking at creating a Bergen County museum. We don't have a museum in Bergen County. There are a lot of individual museums, but most of those are representative of the local municipalities. Like in Paramus, when I was the mayor of Paramus, we opened the banking museum. But that's really a historical picture and of the time in Paramus and the banking family and the farming in Paramus. We have the Wharton Dyke Barn in Park Ridge, and we have other facilities throughout the county, but nothing that really speaks of Bergen County and the history from 1683 when we became a county until now. And so one of the things that I looked at was the old waterworks property in New Milford, on the border of New Milford and River Edge. That was donated to the county back in 1987, I believe, maybe 85, by then United Hackensack Water, which became United Water, which is now Suez. And that property has sat dormant since then. There's been attempts to look at doing things, but I think that we could look at doing public-private partnerships and use that facility because it is a historical facility already. It's on the register. The pump side is on the historical registry already, and look at creating part of or using that as the museum. And then creating potentially some private partnership with some types of small shops and things like that. And really try to use the island, which is called Van Buskirk Island. It's a man-made island, as a focal point for the museum. The other thing we're doing is we're working with the Riverkeeper to have accessibility to the northern part of the Hackensack River, between the dam and the outfall by the waterworks, where we could have canoes and small kinds of paddle boats and things like that, be able to traverse there. Unless you actually go into the river, you can't believe the size and the beauty of that area from the dam to the waterworks. And so we want to open that area up for people to be able to do some kayaking and things like that on the Hudson, from the northern part. Bill has the boat launch in Carlstadt, and he also does the over Peck Creek. But we want to bring something to the Hackensack River also. So that's a very unique opportunity, and I think something that over time I think will work. We'll see. I think it's worth exploring. I talked about looking at tourism for Bergen County. Tourism plays a large role, not only in the state of New Jersey, but in Bergen County. And one of the things that I've felt is that we don't get enough recognition, nor do we get any funding for promoting tourism into Bergen County. And that kind of dovetails to the museum, but it also talks about what's going to eventually open as American Dream, and the other aspects of what Bergen County offers for people to come and visit and actually come and make a day or a weekend out of coming here. And so we're going to bring in concert with economic development, and our historical and cultural group is a tourism piece. So now we'll have historical, cultural, tourism, and economic development, and tie that all in together. Because I believe that economic development and the vitality of our business community is all tied together to that. And so while we're having good results in businesses coming to New Jersey and wanting to stay in New Jersey, and Bergen County in particular, there's also people wanting to move here. And it's one of the things I talk about when we go out to talk to businesses about coming to Bergen County. We don't only want your business, but we want your people. You know, and that's good for the county. We grow at about 3.5, 3.7% for the last couple of years, and our economic vitality is very strong. I'm going to estimate, I haven't seen the last figures, we should get them by the end of March, but I'm going to say that our value, the value of all the property in Bergen County was $176 billion last year, and I think it probably will go up $2 to $3 billion this year. When you think about that, that's a lot of ratables. And so that's another good indicator of the way people view Bergen County. We just were given our AAA bond rating by Moody's and the investors. So again, that's another indicator of how the investment community thinks and feels about Bergen County. It's one of the things that we're going to look to help and leverage that, our borrowing power, to help municipalities with some of their larger scale projects. We can use our ability to borrow and get them a much more reduced rate than they can if they don't have a AAA bond rating. There's very few cities and towns in Bergen that have a full AAA bond rating. So we're offering that. We actually did a couple deals last year with some of the municipalities where they had some old debt, but at a higher level, and we bought that and redid it, and they saved. So again, you know, my idea of working. The county working with municipal government, that's what I believe one of the functions of the county is to help our municipal partner. When I was the mayor in Paramus for 8 years, one of the struggles I had is that there wasn't a whole lot of dialogue and working together with the county. And while Paramus is a big town, and a lot of the things we had, that the county had, I still felt that there was opportunity for us to work together. And so part of my administration over the last 5 years, or 4 years and the 3 months now into my new term, is to work with our municipal partners and help them. Because if they save money, then everybody wins. It's not only the county having to save money, but if our municipal partners save money, they can put it back, reinvest it back into the community, or give it back as tax, as lower taxes. So, one of the things that, we've done a lot of is shared services, and the bonding is just one of the shared services that I talk about. And we're gonna continue to work on that, very diligently, because I believe that that's important to work with our municipal partners. And I have to tell you, and Chuck comes to the meetings, but I have support across the aisle and across the county with other elected officials, not just Democratic officials, but Republican mayors and council members and independents, because they believe that this is the right thing to do. There's nothing wrong with trying to help your fellow neighbor, and that's the position that I've taken, and we're going to continue to do it because I believe it's in the best interest of Bergen County. And this is what I tell the mayors all the time when I talk to them: your success is the county's success. The county's success is your success. So when we all work together, we all make Bergen County a better place. So that's, I'll be introducing the budget in a few weeks, and I'm happy that the budget should be a very sound and fiscal prudent budget. We've held the line over the last few years. It took a few years to get the financial house in order, but for the last 2 years, we've actually had a decrease in the tax rate, and I'm hoping that that will, without saying too much, because none of the freeholders are here, I'm hoping that we'll be able to have that for a third consecutive year. Let's see what else. We're looking at. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's okay. We're looking at doing some upgrades throughout the county. We've done about $17 million in road resurfacing, and I know you all driving around with the potholes and everything, but the road resurfacing program actually allows us to eliminate those potholes and to get a true good road surface that lasts many years. So now that the Transportation Trust Fund is fully funded, the County of Bergen is getting a good portion of that money for road resurfacing. So we did 17 million last year. I would hope that we're somewhere around 19 million this year. And so, that's important because why? I don't want people driving around having to get flat tires or having their car damaged, and it's about a quality of life issue also. So that's something we're doing. We're going to be looking at doing Darlington Swim Club. I say swim club, Darlington Swim Park. It's not a club. We actually have 3 lakes up in Darlington, and 2 of them are swimming. One is a fishing and boating lake. But over the last 3 years, we've made some real improvements there, and we've gotten people to come now and really enjoy the facility. And so we're looking at putting some little some water features in and things like that. We're looking to make some amenity changes there, and I really believe that that will be another destination point, especially for people that don't want to travel real far, but may not have a municipal pool to go to and things like that. We also have the YMCA rents it for their daytime camps and things like that. So I want to make sure that the experience that the people have is a good experience, and so we'll be investing some money up. We'll be up there. Let's see, what else did I talk about? There's some structural changes that we're going to look at. That when our form of government was formed back in the mid-80s, 1980s, the way the structure of the county government was set up worked back then, but because of time and the changes, especially with technology and other things, we've done some realignment with some of the departments. We've shrunk some, we've expanded some, we've done some other things. But we're gonna take another look at what we have, and we're gonna propose some changes to the freeholders to make some structural changes within the government to make the government work more efficiently, and I believe offer better services to both the residents of Bergen County and our municipal partners. So that's something that we're working on. Newbridge Medical Center, which was one of the things that 5 years ago I ran on as a platform. The previous administration had pretty much made a decision that they were going to sell what was then Bergen Regional, and I took the position that that's a facility that's needed here in North Jersey and in Bergen County. Oh, thank you. And so we were able to go through a vetting process, and we got a not-for-profit. It was run by a for-profit company, and we went out and we solicited proposals, and we ended up choosing Care Plus Bergen, which is a subsidiary of Care Plus New Jersey, and they're a not-for-profit, and they make up Care Plus New Jersey, Integrity House, and Rutgers Medical. And today, at the facility, we have Rutgers doctors now at the facility taking care of the residents and patients that come into to Newbridge Medical. So we will continue to, Newbridge Medical is not going to be a transplant hospital. It's not going to be a heart hospital. It's got 576 long-term residents. They actually live there. That's their address, 230 East Ridgewood Avenue, Paramus, 07652. That's their address. They live there. There's some there for 15, 20, 25 years. But they need that type of care. And so I want to make that, truly make them feel like that's their home. And so we're investing money there to get that feeling for them. Along with some better emergency department care and some other things. So we're going to focus on the folks that live there, and the other part of that, the facility is a mental health facility. And we're working real hard with the state on addressing the substance abuse problems we have here in New Jersey. And we have the largest substance abuse medical detox program in the state. Newbridge Medical Center is the largest hospital in the state of New Jersey. It has 1,074 beds. We're well bigger than any other hospital, and we're the 4th largest publicly owned hospital in the nation. And so, there's a lot of things that we believe, a lot of good things we believe will continue to happen there, especially with bringing Rutgers, our state university, to the table and having those doctors, true, real Rutgers doctors. Many of you remember the old Bergen Pines, and what the stigma is attached to that, and that's really our challenge, right? Trying to get over that hump, and the Bergen Regional Medical Center, and now having people recognize that Bergen Newbridge Medical Center is a different place. So I've spent an inordinate amount of time there. For 2 reasons. First of all, because it's very close to my heart. I live in Paramus. I pass it, a dozen times a day. I've had family members care for there, and I've had 2 of my fingers sewn back on there. So I have a personal affinity to the facility itself. The other.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to give committee members an opportunity to ask any questions about anything or make any.
Sure, I'll stop and
I'm sorry.
and I'll take questions.
That's awesome.
I can talk all day about the county. Sure, go ahead.
Jim, first of all, I want to thank you very much for coming to speak with us tonight.
Thank you.
we are very much enjoying having you.
Thank you.
But as you know, Teaneck is adjacent to Overpeck Park.
Mhm.
We have certain concerns about Overpeck Park. And I want to also thank you on behalf of the committee and our constituents for being responsive to our and our constituents' objections to the dinosaur park and in our view, doing the right thing. We want to thank you for that. The question that we do have though is what is actually going to happen in Overpeck Park to Area 2, which is an area that we're most concerned about. Are there still plans for Area 2, and if so, what are they? Also, Area 4, I believe there's work being done on Area 4.
Palisades Parkside.
The Palisades Parkside, right. So if you could tell us, and especially if you could comment on whether the parking lot, the 400-car parking lot is still being planned for Area 2.
Sure. So Area 2 will go through a remediation process that was designated by the DEP. For many, many years ago, this is probably 20 years that the DEP had mandated the county of Bergen to remediate many areas of the entire Overpeck Park area. Area 2 being one of them. So what will take place now is we will meet the mandate of the DEP to remediate Area 2, and once that's done, there'll be discussions as to what takes place there. So there'll be nothing built there, there'll be nothing moved there, there'll be nothing put there for the foreseeable future until the remediation is completed. Once the remediation, because I don't know what the remediation, we know what's buried there, but we don't know what the final outcome will be until we open it all up, we take all the stuff out. Because a lot of it is debris that we must remove. The
Construction
DEP.
debris.
Right. Well, concrete, asphalt, all kinds of stuff. So what I think the best option now is for us to get the remediation done, meet the DEP requirements so that we're not underneath that, and then decide what we want to do in the future about it. So there'll be nothing built, there'll be nothing done with that. Area 4, which is on the Palisades Park side, that's in the process of being capped and stabilize the banks. We still have to go through that. That's part of the remediation that was required by the DEP. But there, we're allowed to cap and seal and do bank stabilization for the creek. So that's what's taking place now, and that'll probably take place for some time.
What's going to be there after the
We haven't decided.
Figured that out.
And
And there is no parking lot currently planned for Area 2.
no.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So let me just address the other piece. The dinosaur park will stay right where it is. We only have a contract for this year, so I don't know what's going to happen to the dinosaur park now that we've stopped the opportunity for it to move. So I can't. I figured it would be a question, so I figured I'd answer it before you asked.
Maybe they can go to the bus start island.
No. But they'll stay there for this year. It's been successful. It's been, it's scaled back and scaled down, but they're there for another year, and we'll see what happens after that. So that's the story with the dinosaur park. The rest of Overpeck is really, it is what it is right now. We don't have any plans for anything else at Overpeck, other than trying to maybe beautify it a little bit or do some plantings and some things like that.
I hope after Area 2 is remediated, you'll take public input into what comes next.
I've gotten a whole lot of letters and requests and everything from many of the Teaneck residents, many residents from that area, but certainly we will seek everyone's input. Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Yeah, lately there've been, and on PBS, et cetera, about the ICE residents in our county jail, and no contact, whereas children can't be hugged, by their parents that are there. And I know it's a multi-million-dollar venture, but you know that Hudson County has decided to suspend their ICE, taking an ICE.
No, that's not true.
just read it and.
No. So Hudson County has decided to finish out the contract that they had
I see, okay.
without taking a new
Yeah, so with the
contract.
freeholders 6-3, you know,
Yes,
whatever.
yes.
Oh,
In regards, first of all, in regards to the facility itself, that falls under the jurisdiction of the sheriff. In Bergen County, the sheriff is responsible for the jail, not the freeholders. In Hudson County, the freeholders are responsible for the jail. That's a different form of government, and so, but in saying that, I've spoken to the new sheriff in town.
He's been here.
Yes, and I believe Anthony is moving towards addressing that issue of contact, and probably you'll see some change in the Bergen County Jail in regards to that. I don't want to speak for the sheriff, I can't speak for the sheriff, but I can tell you that there's dialogue and discussions underway, and I believe that you'll see some change in that policy.
Thank you for that. And one other thing, years ago, I was a commissioner, Bergen County Commissioner, and I became that because all of the townships, the chair would receive notification from you or the freeholders of what particular positions were open and available. And individuals could put in their CVs or their resumes. So I'm wondering, I don't know whether that's existing right now. We don't hear very much of the positions that are open, you know.
It's all done electronically. So if you go on the Bergen County website, you'll see, and you can actually apply for the positions right on the website.
I wasn't aware. Thank
Yep.
you. But I want to congratulate you too.
Thank
You've
you.
done a lot of great things.
Thank you.
So nice to have Debs.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any,
Bill?
Bill?
Yeah, a third subject, I mentioned it to you
Yep.
briefly, it's the gas-powered plant in the Meadowlands, which we're just a few miles away from it. And it's a substantial health risk potentially to Teaneck and other residents in the general area, and certainly runs afoul of our concern for fossil fuels. So I guess we're hoping that, particularly after some 40 people went to the freeholders meeting last week, we're hoping that you'll take action
I can't
and
speak
address
for
the governor.
I can't speak for the freeholders,
But you can talk to the governor.
I can talk to the governor, I can, yes.
Because he's the decision maker.
So, you know, from my perspective, there's still a lot of information I believe that needs to come forward. The permits haven't even been finalized. And I will publicly tell you that one of the disappointing pieces that I have with that is there's no inherent benefit to the people of New Jersey or Bergen County. So that's one of my public positions, right? That if there was a benefit to us, it would be easier for some of us to, or people to see why it may be beneficial to have it built. And so, you know, that's one of my concerns. I have concerns about the environment and everything else, but I also have concerns about ensuring that there's enough power to be produced and that things can work properly. I'm a proponent of solar and wind and everything else, but I also, you know my history, right? I worked 37 years for a utility company, and I understand what the power grid and the power systems are, and you have to have a reliable power system. We're going to make some changes here in Bergen County. We're going to start to use electric vehicles. We're going to start to install more solar panels. We're going to look at, is there potential for us to look at the hills up in Mawa and Oakland to put some turbine and take advantage of the wind that's up there. So we're going to do things here in Bergen County that are going to, I hope, add to the reliability of power and the production of power. But, I know that there was a large crowd at the freeholder meeting last week, I guess it was?
Wednesday night.
Last Wednesday.
Yeah, it was there.
And so, I know the freeholders said that they would take, all of the comments under advisement. And that's where we are.
I just wanted to ask, I was at that meeting on Wednesday night. The difference between the two sides could not have been more stark. All the union representatives for all the building trades came in early, took all the seats in the chamber, and all the environmentalists were standing outside. Most of the people who spoke were the environmentalists. The union guys that were there had a couple of speakers who spoke, but they were hooting and yelling at the environmentalists who got up and spoke. I understand it's a very difficult decision to make, because those guys want jobs, and they need jobs, and they need to support their families. Just wanted to tell you that it was a microcosm of what's going on nationally, the issue about jobs or the environment. Yeah, so I just want to tell you that.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, listen, I hope that we can win on both sides, right? I mean, that's really the thing. No, there shouldn't be a loser. There should, everybody should try to win, you know, and to the extent that we can make that happen. You know, listen, I'm not a fighter. I don't believe in fighting. Chuck can tell you that. I mean, listen, I'll stand up for my principles, and you can trust me when I tell you something. My word is my bond, and that's it. But I'm really about trying to work things out and make things work for everybody. To me, I'm getting too old to have fights and people winning and losing. It's not about winning and losing. That's what's wrong with this country today. People want to win or lose. So we shouldn't be wanting to win or lose. We should be wanting to do what's right for everybody.
Right.
So.
Art?
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say there's a lot of jobs in wind and solar, and that's gonna be where the jobs are moving.
Yeah.
And if you can get the unions in there so they feel,
Mhm.
and the retraining.
Yep. And I think that, you know, well, I can speak for the electricians. They just built a training center in Paramus, that was strictly all about, solar and alternative fuel. So all of their journeymen and all of their other folks now are being trained to deal with solar, to install solar, to do those things. So, I mean, they're coming.
Sounds good. Jim?
Art, you took the words out of my mouth. I just want to add, I'm sure we're all aware that it will provide a lot of jobs to put up all those solar panels
Mhm.
you're talking about up in the Ramapo area.
The wind.
And we look forward to that.
James?
Mr. Powers, Dr. Powers, we were talking the other day about reserve funds here in Teaneck, and it looks like our reserve funds are pretty much tapped out. You must be aware of how different townships reserve for things like snow removal, self-insurance, things like that. My question is, does the county have reserve funds? Do they need reserve? Do they have reserve funds?
By law, you have to.
Yeah.
And depending on what your insurance carriers tell you, I mean, the county is self-insured, so, so we have a surplus of $58 million. Now, some of that we'll use for budgeting purposes, but our revenue stream's pretty good. One of the things that I've done is when I came in, I realized that there was a lot of opportunity to grow our revenue stream and our investments, and so I brought people in that have some Wall Street background to look at investments that we have. I mean, when you talk about the tens of millions of dollars that we have in places, I want to make the most we can out of that. So we've done that. So and then we have reserves. So like we have a snow account reserve, and I have a retirement reserve, and you know, those kind of things. Those are required. So we have to look at how many people in the county government potentially could retire within that time period. so that we have enough money to make sure that if they retire out, we could pay them what they're due and things like that. But local municipal, I can't really speak on local municipal. It's really up to the local municipal government. I know what I did in Paramus when I was the mayor of Paramus, but for the 70 local municipalities, they make the decision pretty much on their own.
There are no requirements for them?
No.
You must have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you.
And a lot of that's tied to the bond rating. That's why some of them have much higher bond ratings than others, because they have a lot of debt, or they don't have a lot of reserve, they have a lot of potential for retirement, and they may not have enough, they may have, finances that are questionable in regards to could they fund that all? Nothing different than the state right now.
One last thing, you talked about having a township come to you and say, help us pay off some old debt at a lower rate. If a township came to you and said, we want help, but they didn't have any reserves, I mean, would you look at them differently?
So we're just starting this. We took an old bond from Closter. I think it was about $2 million or so. It wasn't a lot. But in some of these towns where you only have a $15 million budget,
That's big.
You're right. So that's where if you could save them $200,000 or $250,000 or $300,000, that's huge from their perspective. So those are the kind of things that's the kind of thing we're looking at. Most municipal bonds don't default, right? Because
Thank God.
right, because you have the ability to tax. So our my thought on this was, if I can help them, I want to help them, because I know that more than likely they're not going to default, right? And we can get the savings and pass that along to them. And really, a lot of it has to do with the administration of it, right? You have to have a bond attorney, you have to have a finance people, you have to have all those professionals. When you start adding that up, that's a lot of money. Well, we do that. And that's where a lot of the savings comes in, because we'll do it for everybody.
Thank you.
Chuck and then Javon? You had a,
She's a member of the committee.
yeah, but you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Well, I always have my hand
Constant state of it.
Well, I want to say, particularly in 2017 and 18, part of the way you got the zero on your budget increase was because you have a really, really expert, adept group in your finance group that knows how to handle the investment questions. You've done a fantastic job of that. And you've known how to set aside reserves for things that really should have. We don't have a snow removal because we used it all last year.
Where?
Our trust here in
Here in
Teaneck.
Teaneck.
We're back down to zero on that. We don't have any preparation for the fact that we're gonna have to have an emergency thing for the fact that we're losing people who are retiring this year. So I think you folks know how to do it, and I think that you ought to actually figure out some way to help train some of the municipalities that don't do as well as you have certainly been doing. I want to add one other thing. While Ron was at your meeting, I was here at the Loretta's safety meeting, which I don't know if you folks knew about. Your fire safety meeting was a really important. I'm hoping that FiOS will make available that film, because I think it's really important. It was an extraordinary. There are about 55 firefighters from all over the county at that meeting, and a lot of really interesting. You may have seen a pretty good article by Megan Burrow in the Record today. I think that the issue of fire safety and the relationship between what it is that the state is thinking about doing, which I think we do need all to figure out how we're going to support, but the relationship between that and the way in which towns sort of hold on to their own zoning structure, so they actually are as they make new projects, are in fact preserving the distances between facilities, so we're not compacting the building. That became a very major issue in that meeting, which I think you would find very interesting, and I hope that your folks from the county will have a chance to look at that.
I mean, you know my position there. I've testified.
There's no question. There's absolutely no question about that.
I just hope we do it before somebody loses their life.
Here, here.
Jim, thanks for being here. I think
Thank you,
a lot of information.
Councilwoman.
Yes, a lot of, this is great information, I think, for the community, even just as a council person in terms of the shared services and opportunities. So one of the things we talked about, job opportunities, an American dream. How do we make sure that that information is available to our community in terms of opportunities there?
So if you go on American Dream's website now, you'll see that they have a section for job opportunities. They've hired a firm to help them. We've offered them an opportunity to use the Bergen Community College Lyndhurst campus as a place where we could partner with them and train. So they're not if they need different workforce type training. We've said that we would look at offering some courses to help support that. But if you go on their website, there's a lot of job opportunities there for a lot of very different types of jobs.
Great. Another question, economic development. So as we talk about, I'm happy to hear about the debt ratio, because we are concerned in terms of our debt ratio and leveraging that. So how does that become made available in terms of, so you just started with Closter, debt relief? How do we take advantage of that here in
Your
Teaneck?
CFO?
No.
Your what?
We don't have one right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But any other opportunity to take
That's why we need some help.
And that's where it starts. It starts with the CFO looking at what what type of bond obligations you have, what kind of bonds that you have, what's your debt load. I mean, I don't have an idea.
But in terms of being able to take advantage of what you were referring
Yeah,
to, the
you
county
know what,
leveraging.
they would call us up and talk with our BCIA, right? Bergen County Improvement Authority. That's our financial arm for the county. That's where we do the money through the BCIA. And so they would talk with the folks at the BCIA, and Mauro Raguzio would come out and talk with them, and our financial folks would come out and sit with the town and talk with the town.
Okay. And one last question, in terms of economic development, so we've been doing a lot of development in terms of housing, but is there any type of comprehensive look? I know that Hackensack has a city planner that they've really done a lot of planning and a lot of construction, but is there anything on a county level that's looked at, forecasting and the population growth and what we anticipate, so that we are, as municipalities, positioned in a better state in terms of, small town, USA, how do we survive and thrive? And is there any comprehensive way that we can share some leverage on being prepared, and also making sure that we don't continue to push that burden on the homeowners in terms of ratables, other opportunities, so that these small 70 municipalities can still thrive and stay alive?
So it's one of the challenges of 70 municipalities with home rule. But we do have a planning department that works with our engineering department, that works with our economic development department. So we do look at the planning and forecasting. So our economic development folks are looking at it from a standpoint of what are the trends in industry, what are the trends in business, what is happening here. Like, I don't know if you all know, but warehousing today in Bergen County is our hottest market. We have people wanting so much warehousing, we can't find enough of it. And why is that the case? Because Bergen County is centrally located between Route 80, Route 17, Route 4, the New York Thruway, the Turnpike, and commerce can move very easily. And so we're getting a lot of requests for warehousing. Healthcare industry, right? The healthcare industry in Bergen County is the largest employer. Hackensack University Medical Center is the largest employer in Bergen County with over 10,000 employees. And then you go down the line to Valley, to Englewood, to Holy Name. But when you add those all up, the healthcare industry is our largest employer. And so one of the things we're doing is looking at trying to work with other healthcare businesses that support the hospitals and support healthcare. So I don't know if you've seen, but there's two big commercials that are now playing on New York TV. One is Sloan Kettering that opened in Montvale. So now you can have your surgery done at Sloan in New York but your post-op care and all your other care is done right here in Bergen County at the Sloan facility. The Hospital for Special Surgery, the same thing. They've now opened 3 floors over at 140 East Ridgewood Avenue in Paramus. And so you go and have your surgery in the city, in downtown, and now all your post-op care is done here right in Paramus. And what they found is many Bergen County residents were going into the city, but they were having a problem with post-op care because why? Parking, cost, all those things. So what did they do? They marketed, they did analysis, and they found that people would go over there for the surgery, but they would really prefer to stay here. So what happens is their doctors come once a week, they rotate, and they come once a week here, and you see your doctor on your post-op care. Great model. It's working really well. They're really happy. We've met with them. But what we're doing is we're looking at, okay, what are the other support businesses surrounding that? So we can look at those businesses and bring those businesses here. So those are the kind of things we're doing, both from a planning standpoint, road infrastructure, kind of infrastructure, and then what is the business climate and what are the businesses that we're looking at trying to attract here.
Do you foresee holding or hosting any type of forum that the municipalities could then leverage and take advantage of this information?
We just did last year. Bergenbusiness.com, it lists every single municipality. We've collected data on every single municipality. Bergenbiz.com. There it is. If you go on that, you'll find about everything that we know about Teaneck is in there. Everything about every town that we have in the county is in there.
Last question. Oh,
Okay.
Mr. Ross hasn't had a turn.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
5 minutes and then I.
Yeah, 5
Does
minutes.
the county have any involvement or control over Teterboro Airport, and do you know if there's any, the growth or the number of planes coming in? It's the
Busiest small airport in the nation. There's a group that deal with the noise. I have a representative that sits on it. But in regards to any of their expansion plans, my representative has not been involved in any of the expansion. Port Authority is not the easiest organization to deal with. Port Authority controlled. It's part of the economic fabric here. It's what, there's a lot of we have a lot of national and international corporations spread around this area, and Teterboro is the hub for most of those flights and those people to move around. So while it's got issues with the noise and the flight path and some of the other things, it is a strategic piece of the economic success that we have here in Bergen County. But we don't have any control to do or anything about it.
safety issues? I mean, I can
Yeah,
almost reach out. and
reach
push
that
the
plane,
in.
I know.
Bill.
Well, first we want to thank you very much because we appreciate hearing all your thoughts. Let me bring up one final topic which concerns us, and it does concern other municipalities. It's the CSX trains, the Bakken oil trains that run through. I mean, I'm just 5 blocks away from one of them. The chance of an explosion is like 1 in 100,000, but any explosion is catastrophic. I gather that there've been some improvements in training and dialogue, but I'm just wondering what your thoughts are from the county point of view, because it does involve a variety of municipalities and what you'd like to do or what you'd like to see happen.
So, I've taken, Chuck can tell you, I've talked about this many times at many of the freeholder meetings, and I've held tabletops with CSX. So this is my position. I don't control the railroad. The federal government controls the railroad, right? My job is to make sure we're as well prepared as we can be. And so I've not gotten into the middle of the debate on whether the train should come or go, right? My job is to make sure that if something happens, we can respond as effectively and as best as we can. And so in saying that, I've developed a better rapport with CSX. We now have, you know, contacts with the names and faces of people that will be coming here should something happen. We have stuff pre-staged now that we never did before. Like I said, we've done tabletops, 3-night tabletops with the CSX representatives. We've sent people to Atlanta, and now we're sending them out to Colorado to train with the CSX representatives. They have a yard down in Richfield that we now send our firefighters and first responders down to make sure that they understand and know these are the dangers, these are the things you want to look for, these are the things that may or may not happen, and things like that. So, from my perspective, it's about how well prepared we are, and I'm going to continue to push CSX. I'm going to push every railroad that we have to make sure that we get everything we need to be able to be as best prepared as we can. Because I'm of the belief, if it stops, that's great. If it doesn't stop, I still need to be prepared. So that's the position that I've taken since I became the county executive. We've had a much better and robust relationship. You have to understand too, I'm 43 years in the fire service, so I understand it, I know, and that helps me have the relationship with those folks.
I think it was a timetable that we weren't told, or they wouldn't tell us when these trains are coming through, and also the structure of the trains themselves, not, you know, strong enough to, you know, to sort of protect.
So there's federal legislation to change. It was approved. They have to do it over time. So there are some better cars than others, and that's by federal law. But I've said we're going to train on all of them, because you don't know which car is which until you actually get there. And so the times when they come, it doesn't matter for me, because I have to be prepared whether they're coming today, an hour from now, 2 hours from now, or 5 minutes from now. So for me to know that a train line, cars are coming down the train tracks, doesn't help us. For me, from a preparedness standpoint, I need to be prepared 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can't put people on the railroad tracks just because the train's coming, right?
Okay,
Thank you.
that's a wrap. Thank you so much.
I hope to see you all again. Thank you so much for having me. And if there's anything that you need, or you want to talk or anything like that, please contact my office. Michael's you know, a face here for you. But any of you, just call my office. I'll be more than glad to sit and talk with you. And if you want me to come back in 6 months, or, you know, before the end of the year, and give you an update.
We might. You're such a good speaker.
Thank you so much.